Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam LaCavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the show, the Bearded Browns Show. We are live. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. There is a lot going on with the Browns right now. But one thing takes all that and just silences it. And it's the quarterback position. Whatever quarterback position, whatever quarterback topic takes priority over everything. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about our emotions. We're going to talk about how we feel. We're going to talk about this is what we normally we call on Tuesdays after a Sunday loss Therapy Tuesday, because we just want to get it out. So today is a Therapy Tuesday show, guys. We're going to see how we feel about the situation in Berea. We're going to hear from you fans. If you're in the stream right now, please comment below. Let us know how you're currently feeling about the situation in Berea. You know, the situation of our starting quarterback nobody wants, which 2 weeks ago we try our best to prepare you for. We were telling you, guys, the signs are there. All you guys ignored us. If you would have accepted it, you probably wouldn't be as hurt today because you would have went through the whole emotional denial and acceptance by now. But here we are. We're going to talk you through it. Right, guys? Mike, Chad?
Yeah, I'm not hurt. Just another year of Cleveland Browns football, right?
Browns are going to Browns. Yeah, but I agree with you on the idea of, like, I think a lot of people had a crazy reaction to that. And my biggest reaction was, wait, did less people listen to our show than I thought, I guess, because we could not have been more clear that this was coming and that the last preseason game was not going to make the decision. And that I'm pretty sure Angel laid out the only chance Sanders has of changing their mind in one half of practice football with a preseason game would be to throw for like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think you said something like 250 yards and 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. And then the kid comes out and he has a really good day, but he completed like 8 passes for 75 yards and a touchdown and an interception. That's nowhere near the threshold that you said would have to like be so overwhelmingly positive that it would make them take a step back and forget what they had just seen for the last 6 months. Like, this has never been about even August, let alone one game. It's just been about everything for months. And this is how it ended.
Like I said, though, I think somewhere in between week 4 and 6, you're going to see a change. And that's just from the bottom of my heart. I think that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to say that, he came home after the Chicago game where you looked good. Talking about Deshaun Watson here. And then you came home where you got to shine the most because, these Cleveland fans are brutal. And I called it. I said they're going to boo him as soon as he comes out just because of the last 4 years. And it's the inevitable. It's going to happen. And yes, it's something I personally wouldn't do. I said it Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, you got to realize what you're messing with, man. This is fighting fire with fire. Like, it's one of those things that you don't do is mess with Cleveland fans, especially the quarterback position.
I love Rich, Tuscarawas County. They keep on bringing up the Kenny thing. Like, that was so last year, guys. But hey, I said it. I put myself out there and I got hurt. Kind of like you guys who thought Shedeur Sanders was going to take the quarterback 1 position. But hey, we all make mistakes.
I think the only difference though is Kenny got hurt, and I still agree that had he not, that was who they were hoping would end up the starter, and like him not getting out there and them having 4 quarterbacks in the room who all had some reason to get in the mix. That just feels so different. Like, you couldn't really tell exactly what was going to happen. And then he missed all 3 preseason games. And you're like, well, you can't start him if he can't get on the field. And so they moved him. I just think this is different because if you had your hopes up for him, you might have just been, you were probably right about who they wanted to start. It just didn't happen.
That's old
This
news.
time,
Nobody cares. We're going to move along.
Also,
but this time it's different. This time
Yeah.
it's different because like the story was there the whole time, right in front of you. And like, unless Watson got hurt and couldn't stay ahead of Sanders, or unless Sanders did something just incredible to get ahead, it just wasn't going to happen. And I just think people, like I said, I'm just surprised so many people were so hesitant to believe that. People just, there was even a lot of people who said like Sanders was going to start. I mean, Watson was going to start the whole time, and we're like steady on that. And then this last week just flipped it. And we're like, no, I think it's going to be Sanders now. And you're like, what changed your mind? So like,
what changed their mind was the press conference of Deshaun Watson, and what flipped everyone to go from we're okay with Deshaun Watson being the starter because they would cope with it, right? Saying, well, at the end, Shedeur is going to play anyways. He's going to get hurt. To when Deshaun Watson said those words, hey, you fans booed me and I don't like you. That flipped the whole thing. That flipped the narrative. Hey, we don't even want him to be in the Browns uniform. So, and then you got fans out here coping with it now, saying like KP Young in the chat saying tanking for 2027, and Pet saying financially they have to start Watson because they refuse to accept the fact that Shedeur Sanders isn't ready. Now, I understand that because right now, as my wife's a therapist, she would just say you guys are going through a coping phase. But at some point, you're going to get to where I feel I'm at, maybe Chad and Mike, but Shedeur isn't ready right now. Maybe halfway through the year or next year. But Watson beat out Shedeur, and he was a bad press conference away from everybody accepting it. You agree, Mike?
Yeah, let me lay it out for you, though. Yes, the Cleveland Browns fans have been coping since 1999, the return. That's true, right? I mean, it's honestly fair to say that. But you got to think about it from the Cleveland Browns outlook on it. You have a guy that sat his last year out with the Texans, comes here, gets an 11-game suspension right off the bat, then plays okay, then gets injured, goes off to wherever he went with his girlfriend, gets injured again on his own account this time, not even on the field. He did it to himself. And there's people out there that are looking forward to this guy playing on the field. Like we gave him the benefit of the doubt. We gave him 2 or 3 chances to be able to play. And I get it, injuries happen. But this fan base is not forgiving, man. You got to know that. And the fact that now I like this because what's going to happen is this is going to give Shedeur some more time to develop a little bit more. You're going to see some more real gameplay. The season starts in a couple weeks, so you're going to be able to see real NFL gameplay against real starters, and that might give him an opportunity to develop a little bit more before Deshaun craps the bed. You never know. I mean, there's just so many possible opportunities with the Cleveland Browns anymore. It's a toss-up every year, right?
I agree. I 100% agree with you on
So,
that.
yeah. Just look forward to Deshaun playing. If the guy could win games, then that's how you win Cleveland back. That is exactly how you come out there and win games. I said it for the last couple of weeks. If you come out there and win games, game on. This city will fall in love with you again. We might even give you the keys to the city. Who knows?
That would be ideal, right? So what's crazy, and I guess we can agree on this, what's more shocking to me is how the fans and the media are shocked at the fact that this is even a thing that has happened, right?
It's international.
Yeah, it's like people are like, oh my God, how can this be? Deshaun Watson's beating out Shedeur Sanders.
And that's what blows me away. And it doesn't take away anything that Mike just said. That's all relevant and it's all right. The difference is people still should have seen it coming because this was never a competition of who are the fans going to like. They were never going to want Deshaun Watson. The longer this went on, the more they just continued to want Shedeur Sanders, and like, but there was never a glimpse of all the indicators were there that both on the field and behind the scenes off the field, Watson was the head guy. So it just blows me away. I get the reaction of why people don't want him. I don't get the reaction of why people didn't think this was happening. And I've seen, like, I've been all over socials. People throw this stuff out there like this shock of like, I just don't know what the Browns are seeing. And I'm like, they're telling you what they're seeing. When they come out and unprompted say, we really need our guys to be able to get the play call off better. We really need our guys to be able to get out of the huddle better. We really need our guys to be able to diagnose the defense and understand how to change plays at the line of scrimmage. They're telling you that because somebody in the room can't do it. And it's obvious which one it is now. Like, that's what they were telling you. So these practice fake reps where it's a sack, but they still extend the play for 5 seconds and throw a completion. The quarterback tracker that we begged fans not to pay attention to, while some other platforms, you know, lived off of, like most media platforms lived off this quarterback tracker. They referenced it every day, every show, and we begged people, the Browns aren't looking at it, so please stop looking at it. And like, those are the people that are shocked. But like, they told you what was going on without calling anyone out or throwing anyone under the bus the whole time. So again, like, we don't have to dwell on it forever, but the shock just means you weren't listening. And we pointed out the subtleties and the signs every single show. Like, Munkin said this, the quarterback coach said this, the VP of the team said this, like, and they're saying this without a specific question because they're trying to let you know there's stuff you don't see and it's not going as well as we wanted. And people say, well, then why did the quarterback competition go on so long? Because they were begging for Sanders to win this. They were dying to please let him catch up and win this. And they gave him every shot they could. And that's why the quarterback competition went on so long, because it's worse for everybody for a quarterback competition to drag. But they really, really, really wanted to give the other guy a chance to catch up and win. And they just didn't do it. And it doesn't mean anything on his future. Doesn't mean anything except for right now, they felt one guy is a better option to start the season off, and the other guy wasn't. It's not that deep.
I'm just glad we don't have to see the quarterback tracker anymore. If we see it, I'm deleting whoever posted. Just saying that right now.
It got so overblown. And it's been around for a decade, but I've never seen it to the level that it was this year.
Well, before we get back into our next topic, we're going to go back into a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to ask, did the presser with Watson make things worse? We're going to talk about that next after the words from our sponsor.
That's the quickest word ever. We're back.
We're back. And better than ever. Better than the first segment. The second segment is going to get even better. Guys, did the press conference with Deshaun Watson make things worse for everybody?
To me, yeah, yes. I'm going to say yes. Honestly, it was just like the Cleveland fans. 2 wrongs don't make a right? You don't go out there and call out your whole fan base, and you just something you don't do. And again, I'll say it, especially in Cleveland, man. You mess with the wrong dogs. Bark.
No pun intended.
Bark.
What do you think, Chad?
So obviously this was a huge deal. Like, this went like as viral as it can go. Like, his comments, like, they blew up. Every media outlet ran with them. They were on everything from like Good Morning. But there's people like the next day, there's national media, like respected national media, being like, you got to cut this guy today after he called out the fans. Fans are going to hate me for this one, but I don't give a crap if he called out the fans. He was asked directly. He was in his feels. He was having a rough job, a rough day, feeling like the pressure of being hated. And he's like, yeah, it sucks. It was personal. They don't like me for a lot of reasons. It's not just the play on the field. And I think he was right about all of it. Would I have said it? No, he's not media savvy. I am blown away by the fact that after all of this, he's not more media savvy. But do I like, this Browns fan base that's always like, just tell us the truth. And then a football coach or a teammate says something and they're like, "Oh, how dare you say that anything negative about us?" As we crush him every single day and every chance we get. Like we're so negative about them. We call them out on everything. Oh, you got to catch that. Like any of us could do even a portion of this job, right? So it just to me is like, did it make it worse? Yeah. Should he have said anything? No, he's an idiot. But did I disagree with most of what he said? No. I've always said, like, I think it's kind of crappy booing fans or fans booing players. And I'm not the type of person that like tell fans what to do. I'm not saying you can't. I'll people will bring up the argument like we paid the money, we get to do what we want. Sure. I just know that there have been several people on this team, including guys that we have always liked and respected, stars of this team, guys like Joel Bitonio, guys like he's always said, like, "They pay their money, they can do what they want. I wouldn't," and that's a common case, and that's probably what I would say if I was a player. But there's also been players like Miles and Denzel, Shedeur Sanders for one, who have all come out and said, uh, at different times, like, I don't like it." And
Yeah.
so I look at it from a more global perspective of if the players on our own team don't like it, players on other teams don't like it. And at one point, we're going to be looking to bring in free agents or a quarterback. And it just looks like a less tempting place to play. And we're like, well, we know, like I had a friend tell me the other day, like, oh, but everybody knows Deshaun's a piece of crap and he deserves it. I'm like, I don't think they feel that way like we do. We feel that way because we're frustrated and our team has stunk. I don't think some guy that plays for the Chargers is like, "Oh, they booed Deshaun, but he deserves it." Like, a lot of them don't feel that way. They're just like,
Yeah.
"If I ever get injured a lot and can't get on the field, I don't wanna be the one booed." So, I just think as a, like, blanket rule, I just think it's not a great idea because it looks bad on us, even if the player deserves it.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I mean, a lot of people talked about Denzel Boston and his face. They thought it was because of the pass. I think it was because of the boos. Like they're booing your own teammate. Like this is a rookie. And him seeing this fan base boo the player they support. Now he doesn't know probably no, he's probably is aware, but he probably is not thinking of not just his play, but what he did off the field. Some fans are still holding on to. But booing your own players, it's just not a good look. And you can do that. You pay for the ticket. It's America. You have the right to express it, whatever. But when somebody like Watson says what he says, you can't also get mad at it. You have the freedom to boo. He has the freedom to express himself in a healthy way. And he feels like he grinded on the field and he feels that he showed love for the community. And if he feels like that should show how he has changed as a person and then gets mad and gets offended because of that. I mean, I get it. I'm sorry. I kind of felt a little bad, but then I thought to myself, wait, I mean, you just got to play better. If you
I
play
don't feel
better, the
bad.
crowd
Yeah.
will boo. You know,
I don't
yeah,
feel bad for him,
yeah,
but I agree with you. Like I just think it's a bad look. I think fans like in the moment, they're like, we get why we're booing. I just think overall we don't want to be known as the I mean, people still talk about the fact that Philly fans like threw snowballs at, at Santa and they just look at that fan base as like, oh, they're brutal. You don't want to play Philly. Like the fans are jerks. And like I just don't want that to become a vibe for us, even if this player kind of deserves it. I'd rather just be like, forget it. I'm not I'm fine with not cheering for him. Don't buy his jersey. Don't talk him up. But I just like think I don't want like a global impression that like, and I said, it's not just him. We've been known to, we cheered
Tim
when Tim
Couch.
Couch got hurt. We
Great.
booed Brian Hoyer because people wanted to see Johnny Manziel. They cheered when Derek Anderson went down because they wanted to see Brady Quinn come in. Like, this is not an isolated incident, and it's creating a reputation that like, you play quarterback for Cleveland, you better not have a tough time because they're going to turn on you immediately. And we don't think of ourselves that way. We think of ourselves as loyal, but that's not what's seen from outside. And that's where the warning I give people. But again, talk trash about him if you want with your friends, be mad about him starting. Like, I think all that stuff's fine. I just think the booze, like the whole team is like, that's one of their coworkers, and, like, I don't think it's a great impression. We heard last time, like I said, Miles, Denzel, a bunch of guys were like, "I didn't like that." And fans here were apparently like, "We don't care." But then we act like we're the best fans in the world. So, I don't know.
I do want to hit up some of these comments really quick. Everybody, before the preseason even started, we were insinuating that Deshaun Watson was going to be the starter. We said we wanted to play whoever is going to win us games, and that is up to Todd Monken. It's not up to us. We can sit here and commentate about it all night, but at the end of the day, all we want to do is win games. That's right. It's kind of simple. I mean, not only that, I mean, you do have a possible quarterback on this team that could develop into something else, and look forward to it. It could happen. The only reason I really wanted to see Shedeur mainly this year is because you could see what you have going into next year. A younger guy on his rookie contract. Why not see what you got? That's my only gripe with that. I don't care who's playing quarterback. Just win games. Play good football. Play competitive football.
Some other comments. Marsha Dixon says she doesn't trust Deshaun Watson's emotions and references him walking out of the middle of a game. I don't remember that story, but we don't have to worry about his emotions. If he can't control his emotions, he's not going to play very long. Like,
who did that?
I don't trust him. But
I mean, Deshaun walked out away from a huddle because of the play call. The time clock ran, and he was upset because they didn't get the play in right away when Kevin was there.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
That's
I just mean
I've heard that's the only thing I thought if he turned away from. I don't know what he saw.
I've heard a lot of that of like, I don't trust him to be able to handle the pressure. Well, then he'll crumble and then he'll be out. Like, then you'll see that quick.
I think also a lot of people are confused like me. I would say a couple of days before this press conference, it was asked by Mary Kay, how does he feel about fans booing him if he comes out? And he said, I don't care. Instead of just being honest and saying, it would bother me, it would hurt me, and it's my job to make sure they don't do that. He kind of put on this front like, I don't care, and then all of a sudden they do it, like you're shocked for some reason, and then you go off and say they shouldn't do that. So for me, that was the confusing part. Like, you should have prepared yourself, or your rep or your PR team should have said, hey, you're going to get booed here. So just accept it.
Like I said, the guy is not as media savvy as he should be, given what he's been through, and And it's not shocking for like people to say like, oh, people boo me, like, I don't care, I'll work right through it. And then it actually happens and you get a question about it in your press conference after playing a really rough quarter and you just like snap. But like, it's not shocking to me that he thought he'd be fine and then he wasn't. The reality is, like, he's got a pretty big job, and if this is going to affect him now, I get everybody's thought, like, fear that like, oh, well, then it's going to affect him in a couple weeks. But yeah, as soon as it affects him, he's going to crumble and we're going to see someone else go in. Like, this is he's got to overcome it, or if he's going to fail. Like, there is no, he's not on a long leash, guys. Like, if we lose the first 3 games of the season and he can't handle this, like, he's out, like, he's done. That's why I think it's crazy that people are the only way he stays in is if he plays well.
Yeah.
So,
Mike, you said you wanted to hit some comments up?
No, I already addressed them.
Did? Okay.
Yeah, people that came in and didn't really realize how we were talking about the whole quarterback situation in general. I was just addressing the fact that we were talking about it weeks ago.
On top of that, Sanders comes in and defends Watson by saying, I really don't like that. I don't really respect that, meaning the booing. And it got ignored. He's got brushed from the rug. Like, he defended the very person everyone doesn't like, but yet everyone's saying, we're going to ignore that comment because you're a favorite son and whatever you do is forgiven, and we're going to brush it under the rug because you're the baby of the family.
I don't think it was that. I think that was more along the lines of the golden rule of defend your teammates no matter what. I'm not going to gripe about that one too much, and it's not because I think he's the golden child by any means. I just think that that's the golden rule. You defend your teammates, and that shows some maturity. You stepped up and to what you now know what this fan base is like, and you stepped up to them, and I give you the courage to do that. You gotta choose your words wisely. That's all.
And just like I said, you're spot on to that, because not only like is the golden rule like you defend your teammates, like this is your group, you're fighting together, you're practicing every day together. When the team takes the field, it might be Deshaun that everyone is booing, but there's 53 guys running out of the field hearing boos. Nobody wants to play for that team. Do you get it? Cleveland fans, like nobody wants to run out of the tunnel for boos, and the players have nothing to do with this quarterback decision. But they're the ones that are running out of the field when they want to hear cheers from the home crowd, and instead they hear boos because you guys are so stuck on hating Deshaun Watson that you're missing the forest for the trees. You're only focused on this one guy and hating him. You're missing out on a chance to like cheer for all these other guys. And we know everybody knows you're booing Deshaun, but they're down there hearing boos when they want to hear cheers. I just think do the whole team a favor and just don't cheer for Deshaun.
Yeah. Don't boo. Just stay silent.
I mean, what was crazy is you remember when Dylan Gabriel came out last year when somebody went down? Shedeur Sanders, when he busted his nail or whatever, and that one play, Dylan Gabriel came out and they booed him. I did not hear any boos for Dylan Gabriel when he came out in that preseason.
No, there was a boo. There was
Really?
boos there was boo out there, especially after he threw an incomplete pass. There was a boo. There was plenty of boos because he did not complete a pass, and it was one play. There was boos for sure, and it was because Dylan's Dylan. Dylan's the guy, the middle child that we all forget that is even there at times, and we don't. I'm using a lot of child references here, but he's the child that no one wants in the house. Like, go to your friends because you're the annoying child that no one likes. And Dylan Gabriel did get booed, but it's okay. I don't mind. Like, here's the deal: like, I don't mind the booing from the fans. That doesn't bother me. But the fans got to be okay with the player also expressing themselves if they don't like it. You can't have it one way or the other. You can't have the freedom to express and expect the player to be silent. I find it hypocritical. It's okay, Kenny. You can be late. It's perfectly fine.
He's in Chad's time zone. He's definitely late.
Yeah, he's in Chad's time zone. Shout out
We're just getting off work, guys. We're just getting off work.
So I heard another coping thing that I heard was like, can we just cut him? Can we just cut Watson and do away with this mess? And you can, but the problem is you'll have zero money for next year for any free agents, and all you can really do is sign undrafted free agents. So you wouldn't be able to get any talent. So keeping him on the team this year and cutting him before June 1st next year allows you to spread the cap out next year and 2028. So that gives your cap space a little more room. Actually, it's going to be a lot more room, closer to 100 mil, to spend on free agents, draft picks, and undrafted free agents. And we have 11 picks next year. So they need that money. So unfortunately, Watson's either a backup or Hurts or a starter. He's going to stay here until, I think, March is the calendar year. So June 1st is when they make everything official.
And something I want to really desperately remind everybody of, one, there's two things here. One, it's preseason, folks. Don't expect greatness in preseason. Remember that year we won all 4 preseason games and we went 0-16? Preseason means literally nothing.
Preseason Super Bowl, man.
It's just practice, guys. Practice is probably easier than practice for some of these guys.
2, this whole offense is brand new. You can't expect greatness from that. You have a new coaching staff. You have a new offensive line. You have new wide receivers. You have quarterbacks learning a new playbook. Sorry, that was like 5 things.
No, you're listing all the things that we've said the last month, and no one's listening to us. So just repeat yourself because everything you're saying is correct. Like that's why for me it's weird that people are saying we're going to do 10, 11, 12 wins. It's like we may get lucky. I'm not trying to diss that. Like we will have fate on our side, hopefully, but everything Mike just said to me is scary. And you're starting off in Florida back-to-back weeks against tough offenses. And you're going, yep, we're going to win. And then you see what's going on with your health-wise on your defensive side over here. And then you start to wonder, like, even if a lot of people are saying give Watson 2 games and he comes home, they're going to bench him for Shedeur if he goes 0-2. I personally think Shedeur will be 0-2 going into that type of atmosphere. And for us to sit there and have the expectation for Watson to win 1 or 2 in that situation with that offensive line, like Mike said, being new receivers, new offensive in general, about a month ago, I went crazy on the expectations of Browns fans and how it's our fault that we are disappointed because we put these false expectations on our team. You guys are putting a false expectation to think you're going to be 2-0 coming home. You just are.
We
Just
could be
accept
0 and
the
20.
yeah, you be on 20. You can be 1-1 at best, and that's a win.
50.
0-2, I'm expecting. But if you're 1-1, great. If you're 2-0, Super Bowl, right? That's the feeling coming in at home.
What coach said that after every win? We're 1-0. Let's move on to next week.
Yeah.
You guys imagine starting a season 2-0 coming into like what would be totally blown away. 2 games on the road with this
And then
baby team and an entirely new offense where the longest tenured guy is Jerry Jeudy.
the average age is
Okay.
22 years old on offense.
That's so ridiculous.
Come on, man. We
Of
got
the new-
we
of
got
all the new
22
players.
new starters. Like, I mean, that factors into a lot of games, but I guess I'm too logical at times. I don't know. I can't get too emotional.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have to go see Jen, and it's
Yeah.
gonna get crazy.
She's gonna be mad at me because she wants to charge me for a therapy session, and I can't afford it.
Y'all got insurance.
My insurance doesn't cover it, dog. It's out of what do you call that? Out of I don't know. I was gonna say out of order, but that's not the thing. No, but so Browns fans, I think we need to have realistic expectations for this team. The realistic expectation for me was Watson, especially after going to training camp. Watson was going to be starter, and I accepted that. Accept the fact that this team is new, the offense is new, and by the way, me and Mike had to talk about this. It's going to be a lot of screens, a lot of screen plays. You're going to see a lot of dump offs. You're going to see a lot of Dylan Sampson, Casey Concepcion behind the line for the first couple of weeks into this line. The reason why I'm saying this is because I feel like we have a good feel for what this offense is going to be like, and I feel that you guys think this ball is going to go downfield 80% of the time, and I think we're going to be disappointed for the first 3 to 4 weeks because I think Todd's going to get the ball out quick. He's going to get the ball out fast, which is probably why also he wanted to go with a veteran because he wants to set the tone early on offense to be quick, fast, and efficient. Now let's see if Watson could be the efficient because that's the only question I have.
You're gonna see a difference. I believe once the season starts, you're gonna have your starters in there constantly. And again, we talked about the offensive line having a gel. They looked a ton better last week than they did the week prior for the first game. So being able to see some change in that offensive line excited me. I asked you guys if the run blocking was better than the pass blocking because the pass blocking seemed a ton better last week, but the run blocking seemed a little bit off still.
It did look improved last week compared to the previous week. You're right on that. I couldn't tell the difference between. I thought the run blocking also looked a little cleaner, but like the pass blocking was notably improved, which is
You want me to give you a reason why?
they're not playing any starters besides
Well,
that.
no, that they're not playing any starters. But week 2, it was heavy screen plays, so the ball got out quick. Shedeur averaged 2.74, which is where you should be, and ironically he stayed in the 2s and he looked better. Right when he gets into the 3s and 4s, he doesn't look better. So we've been tracking this since he's been in the league, and every time he's in the 2s. He looks like a starting quarterback. When he gets up in the 3s, that's when people have to come on and defend him because he didn't play well.
When he threw that touchdown, he seemed to hold on to the ball. It was probably about a 4-second play, I would imagine.
Yeah, he had time. That dude had.
Right. I liked his pocket. I did like his pocket presence that day too. He wasn't scrambling out of the pocket. He seemed confident in the pocket, and that was great. But then you hear that last week. What was it? C.J. Gardner-Johnson calling him Mr. Checkdown. And we talked about that earlier, Angel. That was
that's going to be the offense.
You're gonna. I'm hoping that's going to be the offense. I'll tell you why.
I've been begging for that.
Yeah. I'll tell you why though. Chunk yards, man. Keep the clock running.
Mm-hmm.
Get chunk yards. Score. Red zone opportunities are crucial. You have to score in the red zone. Get the ball down there. Take time off the clock. Score. Defense comes out. Don't let them get worn out the entire game. and switch right back to offense. You got rotational guys. My biggest fear on this team is depth right now. But other than that, I think there's
That's
a simple game
topic for
plan.
a show there. Depth. You're right.
Yeah, we're
That
gonna
should
have
be talked about enough.
the show on the final roster is gonna be. We are gonna see how this all pans out, and we're gonna look at some spots and say this looks great. A lot of our top guys have moved down the chain in our backups this year, and then we're gonna catch some spots on the defensive side and just it's gonna hit us how few people there are after the starting lineup.
Yeah. So when I say Shedeur Sanders, what do you guys think he can be as a quarterback? Mike, you go first.
I think he could be a solid starter. I'm not taking that away from him. I really do. I think
Like
the kid has potential.
Compare him to a quarterback that is in the league, that's been in the league for a little bit. Who do you think he could play like?
A guy right now that's in the league. Man, that's I really can't. I mean, I don't feel like I've seen enough to compare him to somebody else, especially with two new offenses. Like you went from one last year to another.
What would you hope he can be? That's a better question, I guess.
I would hope he could be like a Josh Allen.
Okay. How about you, Chad?
Big hopes.
Stop it.
When we drafted him, I was hoping he could peak out at being like Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Level, not the style of play, but that level.
May I interest you in Gardner Minshew? Would you hope that he would be a Gardner Minshew? Because of 93.3 The Fan, the afternoon drive, they said Sanders can develop into a Gardner Minshew.
The most frustrating comparison of all time. Although, like,
good backup.
It's a reasonable comparison. It's a good backup. It's a part-time starter. The frustrating thing about that comparison is that particular show on 93
hell no.
has been talking about him like he is the next Tom Brady, and that like there's no.
There you go. There it is. Tom Brady right there. That's what I was expecting.
They've been talking about him like, how is this even a quarterback competition? This kid is incredible. And then to hear him compared to Gardner Minshew, who everybody in the league thinks probably a solid backup, a mid-level backup, is maddening. Like, if they had used the comparison earlier, it would have made so much different of an impression compared to the way they talked about him needing to be the guy this year. But honestly, it is a good comparison. I think that is, when we drafted him, I was like, what you can see from his athleticism. And I'm not saying he can't be better than that. That's not the idea. The idea is you get a guy in the 5th round and that is what he becomes, made a pretty good 5th round pick. It's why everybody was pissed that we picked Dylan in the third round, even though it was really late in the 3rd round, because people would have similar comparisons. Some people think that's the best Dylan could be, and then you pick that player way too early. But if you thought somebody says Timu Baker Mayfield, to be honest, his play style is probably closer to Baker Mayfield. He likes to take a bigger shot. He doesn't want to make, like, early in Baker's career, he doesn't want to make the shorter plays. He wants to go big. So I think level of play wise, I look at him and I see somebody more like Mitch Trubisky, and that's just not their style of play at all. It's just a guy who, when he's on, can win you games and make you go, oh, this kid can actually play. And then over a long span of time playing, you're like, oh, he needs to get a lot better. He needs to be way more consistent. He can't just be good for some plays or for some games and bad for others. Like, he just has to be more consistent, I think.
You know what? I'll call him CJ Stroud's sophomore year right now.
Yeah, sophomore CJ Stroud is another. Yeah, that's I don't know.
Yeah,
I hope that's not the ceiling, or else, he doesn't have that much time for him to be that level. Like, he's got to be really good this year, probably.
You really got me thinking, dude. I wasn't even listening to everything else you said. I just been sitting there thinking. That's been
Trying to come up with new quarterback. It's a hard one because his play style. There's not that many guys who are very inconsistent, but like dedicated to making the big play, going down the field. Like Jay Cutler was a guy that comes to mind.
Winston, Jameis.
Yeah, you never would have thought it coming out of college because his accuracy numbers were so high, but he plays more like Jameis. Like, he goes for the big play every chance he gets, And even if he's getting interceptions, he just keeps going for the big play and ignoring the smaller plays.
Yeah, that's something he's going to have to adapt to. This is now the NFL. This is not college anymore, where you're playing people that are. What percentage of it is that college players make it to the NFL? It's not big, isn't it? Like 6 or 7%.
I think it's smaller than that.
I'm going to look
Like
that up right now.
3% or something. Yeah, check it out. But I thought it was like 3% or something. It's a tiny group. But anyways, he needs to learn to just distribute the ball, take the plays that are in front of him, and not go for the big play. Somebody said Brandon Weeden, and actually that's another one where it's like he could not get out of trying to like throw the ball down the field
Josh
and
Rosen.
and making it dangerous when really he needed to dial it in.
1.6 to 2% of college players make it to the NFL.
I was going to say one.
Oh God, I said 3, and I was half of that.
Yeah, that is a low quality. That's why there's a high turnover every year on teams. They draft, especially it mainly probably because the later rounds, right? So all these 5th, 6th round, 7th round players.
We know those guys have, and there's so many people that don't get drafted. Like they draft a couple hundred people, and there's thousands that are eligible. Like it's just most of them don't even make it in, let alone last. We know that guys after the 3rd round only have like a 4% chance of making.
So yeah, with
it's tough.
All that being said, 2027 might be our year, ladies and gentlemen, since that's the year everybody wants to stick to.
Everybody,
so hard to be thinking about that before the season even starts, but it's a reality that it's there.
We're gonna do a college quarterback tracker every week.
No, we're not.
And follow who's the number
Somebody's
one.
going to. You can bet that.
Who's the number 10? Huh?
If we were to do it, at least it'd be real stats.
Yeah, it'll be like from the real stats. We'll just chart it, man. It goes up and down every week, and we can do a segment. Who's our guy?
It's just so hard because if you follow stats, Sanders should have been a great NFL player. The problem is stats in college don't transfer to the NFL. It's traits in college. It's do you have the right traits and do they match mentally? Because you can't just be the difference between Mitch Trubisky and Josh Allen is which one of them could grind and their brain, like they're both big, they can both run, they're both impossible to tackle, they both have big arms, but one of them can make NFL plays and one of them simply cannot. And so that there's no way to tell in college which one of those guys is going to be able to step up to the next level. You give your best guess. And it's why first rounders have like a 53% chance of being your franchise quarterback. Half of them don't make it because there's just a part you can't possibly know until you get them in practice and get them out there.
You guys are crazy with the comments.
Yeah,
I love the comments.
How many times are you going to say next year's draft? You've been doing it for 30 plus years. We're going on 31. I'm ready for some.
The problem is the next year's draft has to happen, and then we have to pick. People keep saying like, "Oh, the Browns always want to draft another first round quarterback." Yeah, we do because the last one we picked was Baker Mayfield in 2018, and the one before that was how long ago? It's not like we pick one every year. Pick one every couple of years until you have one, and then don't trade. Then don't give them up for a 5th round pick to the friggin' Panthers. Like,
I'm going to make a quick point, and then we're going to take a quick break. But you draft Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. Shedeur Sanders was supposed to be drafted in the 1st round. He gets drafted in the 5th. Your 5th now becomes more relevant than your 3rd overnight. Like, why? That's mind-boggling to me. And that's the only thing I didn't like that Andrew Berry did last year in the draft. But yeah, reap what you sow.
You reap
whatever
what
that
you
saying
sow.
is. Yeah, we're gonna take.
And then when you come back, we're gonna ask this question: does Sanders not starting pardon Kevin Stefanski for how he handled Shedeur Sanders last year? If you want to hear our take on that, come right back after this commercial break.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Kenny just said Sanders is supposed to be a 1 to 3rd rounder. I was always told he was going to be the 2nd pick of the draft. Now we're moving the goalpost to the 3rd round. I'd never heard the 3rd round for Sanders. I heard 1st round, but hey, whatever happens, happens. So Shedeur Sanders isn't starting, and everything Todd Monken has told us, well, because we hear it, is that he needs more development. He needs to better cadence is a big word that's been floating around in Berea. He's got to get out of the huddle quicker. He's got to learn to process faster. All this stuff Todd Monken said, not me. So don't hate on me. I'm just repeating what your coach said. So with that being said, does him, meaning Sanders, being a backup this year, pardon Kevin Stefanski for how he handled Shedeur Sanders with kids' gloves, started a whole new system called Hungry Dogs to help develop him and the other rookies? Does it pardon Kevin Stefanski? Yes or no, Chad?
We got an immediate disagreement from James
Yeah.
Frank saying,
Yeah,
hell
he
no,
said
Kevin doesn't
no.
Kevin didn't give him the amount of reps Todd did. So here's why I wanted to say his comment first. If Todd just gave Shedeur all of those reps all offseason, and he came out second to a quarterback that all of us think isn't very good, where do we think he actually was when he first walked into camp last year? If this regime right now, who's unrelated to last year, says we need to get better calls in the huddle, we need better understanding of the plays, we need to be able to make better cadences and be able to like handle all of the pre-snap stuff. If 2 training camps in, he's still having those problems, where do we think he was to start last year? Guys, they're telling you he was really, really far. If he's that far behind now, he was really, really far behind last year. And I tried to tell people, Kevin's not sabotaging him. Kevin's keeping him away from like getting pummeled for not being ready to be out there. And he has bad habits he needs to change. And those don't change if you're not ready and you're put out there early on a bad team. And no one was hearing it because it's easier not to believe that. But like, I don't know how you can see where he is this year and not realize he was obviously way, way, way farther behind last June, July, August than he would be this year. And this year, he's still not at the top of a bad quarterback room. I just think there's only so many explanations, guys. And, they say stop looking for like the crazy. They say like when you hear hooves, don't think zebra. Think of the most likely thing. Like it's a horse. Like what's the most likely thing? And the most likely thing is if he's behind this year, he was way behind last year. And Kevin was having these separate sessions with him so they could work on the things that he needed to get better at without being problematic for the whole team executing because there's 52 other guys that are going to make this team that need to be ready to play.
Gazelle. Kenny said gazelle. It's a gazelle. How about you, Mike?
I honestly I didn't even hear the question because I was making sure things were working here.
Does Sanders not starting this year pardon Kevin Stefanski for how he handled Sanders last year?
Absolutely not.
Opposite of me.
I mean, here, I'll give it this. He was kind of thrown into the situation, so you kind of had to pardon him, right? You had no choice at that point. You had Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. Who are you going to play? The better person, right?
Chad, I hate your logical takes. Yeah, the better person.
Think, like I said, like people had this big thing, like how could Dylan Gabriel possibly be ahead of him? He's not as physically gifted. And I'm like, he probably just knew the plays better. And when they got in the huddle, he heard it in the headphones. He was able to say it back out. And if the other quarterback can't, you don't give him any reps because he's not ready to diagnose.
Do you think it was because Dylan Gabriel's so low in the huddle with all those big guys?
Everybody can hear around him. I said this, dude. This still drives me crazy. There's still people that are like, how could Dylan Gabriel be farther ahead? I'm like, you realize Dylan played for 3 colleges and 2 of them were Oklahoma and Oregon, just huger, bigger programs than the biggest program Sanders played for in Colorado. Dylan's dad wasn't his coach, so he didn't have a coach who's like, we're gonna make everything work for you, because Dylan was not like a force to be reckoned with. No college team was like, we're gonna do everything around what you do best because you're Dylan Gabriel. Like you here's how we play. You either do it or you don't start. I just think Shedeur had a long way to go, and I think if you don't get that now, then I don't know what else anybody could tell you. Like he's obviously got the some talent on the field that's striking at times. So like it must be the other stuff. What else could it be?
I feel that I often resort to this reference every time we talk about Shedeur's development the year Kevin was here last year. And I think a lot of people missed when AB was on the telecast against the Rams, and he said, I forgot what the question was, but in reference to what he said, right now Shedeur is trying to learn Mandarin, coming from the college that he came from. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Mandarin's one of the hardest languages to learn. So AB was referencing the language barrier between where he was at Colorado and where he's going to be in the NFL. And if you think Kevin sabotaged him, that means you also have to include AB, because AB's the one that also said this summer when Kevin was fired, we are going to bring in competition for the quarterback room. If AB believed in Shedeur Sanders' development, like you guys did, AB would say, what? Shedeur Sanders is our guy going into next year. Instead, they brought back a guy who has no muscles in his legs, and that guy beat him. That is just the reality of it. I'm not saying it should be a fan excitement or fan favorite. The reality is, Shedeur is so far off, was so far off last year under Kevin. Kevin tried his best to get him reps, but at the expense of winning. You can't do that. Because Kevin knew this is my last year if I don't win. Right? So he knew I had to develop one of these guys. And unfortunately, the dominoes fell the way they did. People got hurt. Joe Flacco sucked. The way they handled the whole quarterback room was horrible because no one got full amount of reps. It was just a horrible season, unfortunately. But Shedeur was so far off from his development last year. I think this does for me personally, and I like Kevin, but I'm glad he's gone. As a coach, I don't know if I felt about the same way I felt about him going in 2023 and 2024. So I find it as, hey, I think he kind of made sense of how he handled it. He tried to give him as much game tape as possible to prepare him, or learn how to watch tape to prepare him to be better this year. And guess what? Shedeur did improve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see
I think
vast
he'll still
improvement.
improve it.
Yeah, there's
Sorry.
plenty of room for more improvements as well. Don't just count him out now. It's far from over. It's his second year in the NFL, just starting.
Yes. Now, personally, I don't think we have our future on the roster. But if you want to say Shedeur can grow into it, I'm not going to say he can't. But I do think there is an issue here with his development, and I'm hoping Todd's the right guy to make it go faster. Is all I'm saying. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, I just think there's and maybe some people are turning their opinions on that. I just think like if you were mad at Kevin mostly because of where he placed Shedeur on the depth chart, you're probably pretty much questioning Todd Monken for something similar. Kenny's jumping in that he said this before, that Dylan was on a super team, including Jordan James. Jordan James is a mediocre running back who came from Oregon. And the second pick in the draft was Shedeur Sanders' main target. And newsflash, 2 other receivers on his team also got drafted. Well, I don't want to hear this. Dylan was on a super team. He had a raw tight end, and he had a mediocre running back, and he had a 5'8" receiver. Like, this was not a super team. The Oregon Ducks had a great all-around team. They did not have an offensive juggernaut team. We've seen teams that have had like 3 NFL first. We've seen the Ohio State Buckeyes put a receiver in the first round every single year for 5 years straight. That is a super offense. They had 2 running backs get drafted in the second round of the same draft. That's a super team. Jordan James is not Henderson or Judkins. Like, that just seems crazy to me. And Quick Clips jumps in and says, what are you talking about? Shedeur was flawless on Saturday. Well, then you didn't see him throw the interception because that's a flaw.
Let's not argue about that interception.
Let's talk about the interception.
And it was a big one. So I think we ought to
Yeah,
get
5
into
minutes.
it, ladies and gentlemen.
So the
we're-
interception.
I thought that's all we would be talking about until the Watson press conference. And I was like, never mind.
Never mind. Watson takes over everything.
I
The
thought
inter-
after the announcement we weren't going to talk about it, but here we are.
the interception, right?
Both of them, by the way. They both threw an interception.
Yeah.
I think one was worse than the other. Nobody wants to hear my opinion. So what do you guys think of that interception?
Or we can talk about Mendoza's pick 6 because that's relevant to Cleveland fans. But either way, I mean, people are bringing that up. Like I hate when people bring up other.
By the way, it was the same pick. It was this exact same mistake Dylan Gabriel made in the preseason game last year, where he took a little too long to release it, got baited, and somebody cut it off and took it all the way back. Same play, same mistake.
Yep. So Mike, go ahead with your point. Sorry.
My argument, I think, is valid, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with me. Chad, do you hear that? I think a lot of people are going to agree with my statement here. And this is because in old school football, you obviously, any person on the field, you're a professional athlete. Yes, the ball may have gotten tipped at the line and went a little behind the receiver. But no matter what, both your hands touched that ball. As a receiver, even if it's a little behind you and your body is perpendicular with the ball now because you are turned, you're reaching back like this. And the ball touches your hands. It's at the numbers, yes, a little behind him. But if the ball touches your hands,
just
the
doing
golden
that
rule.
looks so awkward. You're like,
I can catch a ball like that, and I'm not even a professional athlete. I do it all the time with my kid outside. Hey, kid, throw me one outside. So I
pull a hamstring.
I want to make it, yeah, right. But no, I think if your hands touch the ball, you should catch that. As a professional athlete, it's your job. I don't get me wrong. The pass was a little behind him. I get that, but there are plenty of other quarterbacks that have made passes that were behind their receivers and they catch them. I'm not saying every one of them.
Receivers will be playing in the NFL going into the future, and you know who won't? Whoever that tight end is, because I don't even know his name.
We did get rid of a tight end, and it wasn't him. I looked that up the other day. I forget the guy's name right off the top of my head, but it was not him.
And I don't disagree with you. If it touches her hands, if you're a good receiver, you need to bring it in. That's not the part I disagree with. I disagreed with immediately. It was like he threw the interception, and everybody's like, well, that's not Shedeur's fault. That's the tight end's fault. He should have caught it. And I'm like, it was not a good throw. It wasn't in the place it was supposed to be. And I don't think it got tipped at the line of scrimmage. I've watched that replay 100 times. If it did, I think the trajectory would have changed more. But even if it did get tipped, he's throwing it to the wrong place because he should have been throwing it to the other side of the defender so it landed in front of the tight end and he can catch it in stride. And I said this and people went ballistic. And I'm like, guys, he has to throw it that way. He has to know that that tight end has a clear path across the field and put it to where the tight end is going, not where the tight end is right now. Because, yes, it touched his hands, but his momentum is all going one way, and his hands are trying to go back the other way to get it. And he's not Jamar Chase. He's not going to be able to catch that. Somebody in the NFL can, but it's not that guy. And again, it's not the end of the world. The guy was on an 8-for-8 streak with a touchdown. It was a really good performance by him. I just cannot believe the backlash you get by being like, yeah, that throw wasn't great. You should have put it in a different place.
It wasn't even that. Just sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll give my opinion on it, but first we're going to pause for station identification.
And there's your station identification, WOBL 107.7 at 1320 AM.
All right, go ahead, Mike. What were you going to say?
That I cannot wait for week 1.
Mike's like, I'm done with this crap.
No, I get it. This preseason, guys, and we're talking about it like it's like the playoff.
Well, I think a lot of it is because a lot of people, and this is where the overcompensating of having to explain an interception comes in from, because nothing is Sanders' fault. And then you become a hater because you have to over-explain something, right? So you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe Chad. You can believe Joe Thomas, because Joe Thomas on the telecast locally here said Shedeur Sanders should have threw the ball, and he made an arrow in stride, so where the tight end can run and create what we love called yak yards after catch, throwing the ball behind the receiver. Granted, that was Harold Fannin. To Mike's point, he probably would have caught it, but the fact this guy was a 4th string tight end You're making it harder for him to make a play. He's a fourth string tight end for a reason, because other tight ends were hurt and they just called them in to have bodies on the field, right?
In his defense, he did join the team 4 days prior to.
Exactly. So now we as fans are expecting this guy who's been on the team for 4 days to make a miraculous catch, make it in stride. And that's been part of Shedeur Sanders' issue since in the league. He's throwing in the wrong areas. Can't, to Chad's point too, he was amazing at throwing checkdowns. He was amazing at throwing the deep ball. He has this thing where he's
In
good,
there.
right? He's there, right? But the interception was his fault. Even if the ball was tipped, I would listen to that and I would say, well, that's still a problem, because the biggest issue was with Dylan Gabriel was batted balls. And I've seen a couple batted balls at practice from Shedeur, and you're now telling me he's getting the ball tipped at the line? That's another red flag.
He's
in my
staring down a
opinion.
receiver probably.
Yeah.
The ball gets tipped, not because you're short, because you're looking exactly where you're throwing, and you
guys
have
can
a
hit it.
sequence of your arm motion that guys can time. And a defensive lineman's like, I can't get in there, so now I'll just hold my ground and swing. And who do we have on the team last year? What was his name? The defensive lineman that like leads the NFL in swats. Shelby Harris.
Shelby Harris.
Shelby Harris said, "This is not luck. This is something I've developed over years. I study the quarterback's film. I look at the way they release the ball, and I put my hand where I think it can go, and sometimes I get it. And like that's the issue. That's why I'm like, even if it's tipped, he's looking a receiver down then probably. And again, it's not an end of the world issue, which is why I don't know why people are so defensive about it. It's just okay to admit, like just like you could on Mendoza, he released the ball too late and he didn't see that a defender had a better angle. Like that's a mistake by Mendoza. The difference is there are 0 people out there in the world going, that's not Mendoza's fault. That's the receiver's fault. And you'll never see it. You only see it with one player in the NFL, and it's this player. And it's like people are like, oh, Chad hates on Sanders. He never gives them the benefit of the doubt. Says quick clips in the comments. I don't need to. Everyone else does. So I'm going to be the one person that says everyone else seems to think everything is everyone else's fault. So here's why I think it's his. And again, I agree with Mike. Yeah, if it hits your hands, try to catch it. But if I see a guy like dive or twist his body or the same thing with the interception on Watson, he threw it high to the place he thought only his receiver could get it. It was Gage Larvadain, who's like 5'8". He couldn't get up there. His fingertips touched the ball. I didn't hear one person say Gage Larvadain's fingertips hit that ball. He should have caught it. Everybody said Watson threw too high. That's the difference. And that's why I pointed out. And when people stop doing that, I'll stop pointing it out so many times and Chad's explaining it. Because that's what I see is like, no, I didn't see one person anywhere on the internet. And if you find it, quick clips, send it to me that said that interception wasn't Watson's fault. It was Larvadain's. It touched his fingers. Nobody said it.
No, I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things that it's the reason why we have to be so loud about it is because everyone else is so defensive. So you have to kind of bring logic and and just be honest. Like, and it's not a bad thing. Like you said, he had one bad throw, even quick flip. Yeah, just one bad throw. But the problem is people are like, it's not his fault because he's the favorite child. And the favorite child doesn't do anything wrong. Matter of fact, Albert Breer spoke to multiple people in the Bears and Bills organization who the Browns have played. And they said he did not find one person who thought Sanders was a better starting option for the Cleveland Browns. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
I was willing to accept that. If he is the better player at the time, then yeah, I was more than willing to accept that. Like I said earlier, I was kind of open arms to the fact that we could have a young quarterback in here. And yes, you might not see the greatest play ever right off the bat, but you're going to have time to be able to learn his playbook, learn cadences, pocket presence, when to escape the pocket, when to stay in the pocket, trust your line. Those are big things that matter to it, especially a young quarterback coming from college and thrown into a situation last year. I understand that. And that's got to be hard for him. If his mental awareness was a little bit better, I would be all for it. I really would.
And that's something that I think, like, physically, guys can obviously change their body. People get stronger, people get a little faster, but for the most part, you're kind of physically what you are when you get out of college. You're not at your prime, but it's a pretty good idea
Yeah.
that Taylor Green is Taylor Green and Dylan Gabriel is Dylan Gabriel. Like that's not changing. I think the biggest thing that can change over years of experience is how these guys stay in the league so long. You have these guys that have mediocre skill sets. Like, try not to just insult anybody, but like Case Keenum doesn't have like these great physical tools, but he hung in the league long enough where now he can. I mean, we saw that preseason game. He didn't miss a beat, man. It looked like he's a superstar in the way he plays because he just, when it comes to the basics, boom, 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 no thoughts. Colt McCoy stayed in this league for so long without with, I'd say, less physical gifts than Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, I think, is just a better thrower of the football. He puts a better ball in the air than guys like that. So if he does continue to develop that, then he's got something. That the clock is ticking, um, but again, I just think, there's still things to improve on. And I don't think that's a bad thing, and I don't think it's unexpected. It's just like we said, if you set your expectations and you realize what's really happening, you don't feel shocked by the stuff. As far as Albert Breer, that was a shocker to me because he said he looked into this after the decision for Watson being the starter, and he reached out to several members of the Bears and several people that he trusts on the Bills. And Shedeur had just played that really like marvelous first half against the Bills. And when he came back and he said, I did not find one person in either organization that thought Sanders was the better choice to start the season at QB1. Like, that is astounding to me. I'm so surprised to hear that because I expected to hear, at least because the media is a totally different story. The fans are a different story. But those organizations, both being unanimous, I thought told a pretty big story about something that we're not privy to, something that we didn't catch.
Angel, what's your thoughts?
About the Aberbeer topic is I'm not surprised because I went to training camp and I saw everything that he's talking about. That's why after training camp I said, "Hey guys, we're going to be drafting a quarterback in 2027," because I don't think this organization is going to be patient enough to develop Shedeur unless he shows major improvement in year 3. If anything, maybe he'll be the starter going into next year because he's well ahead of the rookie that they draft. And this is no hate. I think Shedeur has a lot of shortcomings. I think Shedeur has a lot of development. I do also say it just from personal references for me. I think there's some immaturity issues there that he needs to take care of, and that's just not a bash. That's just me saying I think eventually this team wants a quarterback who is going to handle himself a little better off the field, but not having too many camera crews following him around, not making social media a priority. This is all the stuff that bothers me as a fan.
Compared to what the quarterback present now QB1 is
Yeah,
or has had.
he shuts it off. There's no other camera crew following him. His brother is like in game following him around. To me, as an organization, I can't speak for the Browns. I don't know anything. I wouldn't like that. You're getting inside information on your camera that I don't want you to have. But we'll see if I'm wrong next year when Shedeur Sanders is QB1. But I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm hoping Shedeur develops this year and into next year because it's the quickest way for us to get to the Super Bowl. Let them have shot at it. Let them run with it. Put talents around him. Get a better offensive line, and we'll see.
I think most people are still betting that he's going to play a fair amount of games this year, and I think that's a pretty reasonable bet. If you're doing the over under, is he playing 6 games or more, or is he playing more than last year? I'm probably still taking the over, and what that gives him is the driver's seat to his own starting job next year. Because if he looks really good and he wins games, he's gonna make them pause or hesitate on using a draft kind of quarterback, and B, if he can win enough games like he did this last year, he won just enough to keep them from drafting Mendoza. This year, if he wins more, he can keep them from drafting a quarterback. That's literally how you keep your job. Play too well for them to pick somebody to replace you. So he's going to be in the driver's seat, I would guess, for a lot of the season, and he'll have a shot to prove our skepticism wrong.
And I'll say it again. Don't expect anything great out of anybody right now. The whole offense, don't expect anything great. It's all new. Everything is brand new. It's just not what you're going to expect right off the bat. So, I mean, whoever's at quarterback, it was going to be sloppy either way. I'd imagine. I mean, you guys agree? You're going to have your first stringers out there, which is going to be better. You're going to have better players out there, but at the same token, you are learning everything, relearning everything. A whole new playbook with all new guys.
You guys want to hear something that's going to really annoy fans? If for a young player, it's really tough to learn a new playbook, and it sets you back and gives the veterans who have been around for a while a better chance to get ahead of you, was the best chance Shedeur Sanders had of playing for this team that Kevin Stefanski was still the head coach. Like, thinking about that, like, if that means he knows that offense. He played 7.5 games in that offense last year. He's coming in as the return starter for the same coach last year. That just popped in my head when you said that. Like, I wonder if he actually would have had a better chance to beat out Watson, because Stefanski has dealt with Watson, and he feels the way the fans feel, like, frustrated with Watson explosion, and just like, that's crazy to think of that. Like, the way you brought that up, like, it's crazy to think, is it true he would have had a better chance to win the starting job if Kevin was still the coach? That's such a crazy thing to say after the narrative between the two of them last year.
Is it safe to say that Deshaun Watson screwed himself as well?
But
Deshaun
doing
Watson
TikTok
continues to
dances
screw
with his
himself.
cast off, yeah.
Oh, not
That
only
messed
that.
up-
I mean,
messed up his healing process.
your last year with the Texans, you sit out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you come here, you got the 11-game suspension. Again, you come here, you play all right, then you get injured, and then you injure yourself again.
His whole career would be different if he hadn't sat out.
Right.
Everything that happened after that would have been slightly different.
Yeah.
If you continue to play football, we've watched it. Who else sat out for a while and came back? It happens all the time. People that are gone
the
for
running back from the Steelers sat out for a year because they wouldn't sign his extension or whatever, and he came back and never got paid again. I can't think of his name. Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like everything would have went great, but it would have been like everything would have been different had he not sat out for a year.
I feel like we mentioned it as a scenario that might happen if if Kevin is fired, is that Shedeur has to start over. So it's hurting because people say Kevin's sabotaging him. It's like, well, if Kevin leaves, the new coach is going to pick his quarterback, and he's going to have to learn a new system. And I mean, it came to fruition. Speaking of coaches and firing, we have a coach on a hot seat just 2 games into the preseason. According to this move, since Todd Monken made the announcement that Deshaun Watson is going to be starter, tons of fans have now turned from their favorite coach, because he's Shedeur's favorite fan, to get this guy out of here. He's sabotaging him. Guys, what do you guys think of fans calling for Todd Monken's head to be fired?
I really thought you were going to talk about the $149 deal, but man, all right, I'm glad we went somewhere else with that. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about, yeah. Look up 49ers.
I am not definitely against Todd Monken right now. The guy's job is to come here and make football better for Cleveland fans, and that's exactly what I think he's going to do. But like I just said 5 minutes ago, it's not going to happen overnight. So don't look forward to greatness right off the bat. I talked about it on a show over the weekend, and in the beginning, I wanted a younger guy that was willing to bring some more talent here and that had the new NFL mindset rather than the old heads. You know what I mean? The old school football nitty gritty, which I do like, but this is a first time 61-year-old man that is showed some heart already, and I love how he is gritty, and he'll get on people. He's holding people accountable. That's huge. We haven't seen that to my watch. I haven't seen accountability being taken care of. Have you guys?
Yeah, I agree.
So that's a big thing for me. You're going to see more discipline, hopefully, out of this team, and that's why I like Todd Monken.
I hope. I mean, you hope, but I just think we said this before. Like, when we hired him, people were really salty on it because they wanted one of the young guys. And I said, when he starts talking, because I've heard him talk since 2019 when he was here, or whatever. When he starts talking, people will get on board, and they did so fast. But I said the honeymoon got almost too on board too fast, to the point where it was like, this is the guy, and like I'm really rooting for him, but I knew things were gonna take a turn as soon as something went wrong. I thought it would be losing a 2 or 3 of the first games. Instead, it turned out to be just kicking the quarterback that he wanted to start. I just didn't anticipate. I feel like an idiot. I probably should have, but I kind of thought it was going to end up being Watson. It did, and I should have known. Like, going on X on Monday, even Sunday night, and seeing like, you got to fire Todd Monken tomorrow, and be like, we haven't even started the season yet. Yeah. But I think that will all that can all settle down if we come out and we look even okay on offense to start the year. But it did come up real quick that people changed their tune, and it was very clear. The post you made, Angel, that was like, the honeymoon is over. Mm-hmm. I could not have said better. Like, the second one thing went the way that the majority of fans didn't want, they're done. Which is why I bring it back to the original thing I've been saying from when he got hired. If this does not go well, a one and done season is absolutely on the table. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not rooting for it to happen. But if things go bad, I just think it's on the table.
See, I don't think you can do that, because he can. He's
They've done it before. They've fired 2 different coaches after a year.
You brought this guy in, and you said, here are two quarterbacks that need a lot of work. And we know how smart you are. We know that you are a good. We think you're a good offensive guy, so we need you to fix him. I think, and if you give him 1 year to do that in the midst of a quarterback battle that, again, you shared reps for, man, that's going to be a bad look. And I'm not a big Jimmy hater. I actually think Jimmy Haslam should get more credit than he gets here locally. But I think that would be a bad look for him. This thing keeps on popping up in the chat, and it bothers me. It's not because I like Jimmy Haslam, but they say there smells of Jimmy Haslam's finger all over it again. Why wasn't that said last year when Kevin was in charge? Why wasn't it Jimmy's fault last year? It was all Kevin was holding it back. It wasn't Jimmy, because Jimmy likes Shedeur. Jimmy picked Shedeur.
Hold on,
now,
nobody answered.
All of a sudden, it's a new coach. It's Jimmy's fault.
Nobody answered that question yet. We're going to be back right after this quick break from our sponsors. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
It is the coping of the Browns fandom that you have not healed by saying things like that. You're looking for people to blame instead of being real with yourself and coming and to the decision, or coming to the acceptance that Shedeur Sanders may not be that good. And it's okay. He may not be a starter. He may be a great backup. He may be a quality starter. We don't know yet. But to sit there and keep on pointing fingers because it's not working out for you is making this fan base look crazy. Sorry,
we know we're crazy.
It does feel like we liked Monken. We've decided we like Monken. We've been talking up Monken this whole time. So now we don't want to pivot on that. So a lot of people were like, I'll just go back to saying it must be Jimmy, because I don't want to say that this is Monken's decision, where every source we've seen has said they left this to Monken. It's his decision.
Do you guys want some Cleveland history real quick?
Yep.
For the old school Cleveland people out here, you know who Todd Monken reminds me of?
I already know the answer, but go ahead, because he had the hat and glasses on. Go ahead.
No. It has nothing to do with his looks. It's his sound. Do you guys remember that old commercial back in the day? It's you can't get credit here. You can't get credit anywhere.
My name's Mark, and I guarantee it.
You can count on it.
My name's Mark, and you can count on it. That was it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me that's not it all day.
Yeah, that is it. I had somebody point out to me he looks like Dorsey.
I'm like cackling
yeah.
in the microphone because as soon as you started to tell the story, my brain popped up who it was. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's a good
Such a
point,
piece of
Mike. I didn't
childhood.
think about that until now. That's gonna
My
bother
name's
me every time
Mark,
he
and you
talks.
can count on it.
That bothers me. Um,
Quick Clips wants to know if I really believe everything that I say with conviction about Sanders. Yes. None of this stuff is like, I hate Sanders, so I'm going to trash him. If you listen, most of the time I'm saying, like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, I don't think any of this stuff is that bad about Sanders. I don't think anything I'm saying is like that defamatory. Like, he's the worst. I just think he's probably slightly behind Deshaun Watson in his ability to do some of the pre-snap stuff. And a coach that's not been here for the last few years, haunted by Watson, is looking at a 1-year deal and saying that my best chance to win these first couple of games on the road is a quarterback who can get that stuff right. And if I'm wrong, we can always change it later.
It's okay, Chad. A lot of people here think you're the worst. So
It's true.
and what's funny is like I feel like I've been as loud as you to this episode with Sanders, but
But I've been going on and Quick Clips and I have a
yeah,
long history of
yeah.
me not being nice enough to Shedeur.
I like Sanders. I want Sanders to be my quarterback, but my eyes tells me by the organization's decisions up to this point,
Mm.
if it hasn't happened by now, it's not going to happen.
I'm just reading the
But
tea leaves. Like I said, they
yeah,
keep making comments that are unprompted to tell you what's happening in the background. And it's the same comments we were getting last year from a totally different staff, including a quarterback's coach that's friends with his dad. We have a coach now who met with his dad to talk about his son and the best way to coach him. Like, these are guys who aren't like Dion haters. They're guys who respect and like Dion. And I don't think they have any reason to lie. I think they're just telling you, like, this is a more of a developmental pick than people thought, and it's taking a little time. But when he's on the field, he can do some electric things. So we're going with it. A lot of teams would be like, this is not worth the media attention. Cut. But this team thinks we don't give a crap about the fans' response and the media attention. We see the potential here, and we're going to keep developing it.
yeah.
I'm sorry, real quick. I love the Browns giving us content. It is awesome. Thank you, Cleveland Browns. We appreciate you.
We made
It's
our whole
never
show.
ending. Yeah.
We made our whole show. We got 8 minutes left, and let's get into some little topic other than quarterback. A guy who just may make not just the practice squad, but may make the roster. And Luke Floria, guys, how do you think his performance has been these last 2 preseason games? And I would say, while I was there at training camp, he was making the same plays. Go ahead,
I just
Mike.
think what did they see this year that they didn't see last year? I mean, obviously another year of NFL play will help, obviously. But I'm liking the kid. I remember Sam last year was big on Larvadan, and that is somebody that, you know, you were expecting big things from, and it just fell off, unfortunately. But
Gage
man,
just not having the repeat. So last year, I looked at the two of them and I said, to your point, Gage is ahead of Floria, and if one of them has a chance to squeak on this team, it's going to be Gage. This year, that role has reversed, and I've watched Gage struggle to make some plays. He's made some, but I've
Yeah.
watched him struggle at more times than I expected. And Floria, I think, has stood out more than I've expected. And I thought he's a really great story. So maybe we're just seeing the clips of whenever he does something good. And then Angel went to camp and was like, he gets open, he catches the ball.
I think he's the forgotten receiver. Not to bash him, but when you're out there with the 2 rookies and you're this small white guy, you don't get the respect, right? So to me, he's taking advantage of every opportunity he is given. And because of that, he's over Gage, because I think when Gage had the opportunity to get a punt, he muffs it, right? So it looks as bad. On top of that, guys, it's explosive plays. You notice Floria because he's exploding off the screen. Explosive plays, 5 targets, 2 of those are explosive plays, 40% explosive play rate, 66.7 of his receptions come off explosive plays. That is what Todd Monken wants in this offense. And if you're going to make the team and you're a small white guy from Mentor, you're going to make the loudest noise. You're going to do it on the explosive play rate. And he has done it well. I'm bringing the stats today, folks.
We'll call him Mr. Checkdown as well. No, I'm
So
kidding.
here's the thing. He is the best story in the Browns. He's a local kid who has no business being out there size-wise. He's the Dylan Gabriel of receivers. The only difference is people don't hate him for his size. They like him for his size because they love this underdog story for him. It's why I was so shocked Cleveland hated Dylan Gabriel so early, because I thought people would laugh at
Shedeur
the
Sanders
idea.
was behind him.
Yeah. So there's other aspects, but I thought people love the underdog story, and he is absolutely one. So here's what it comes down to for me. Bond, Judy, Casey Concepcion, and Boston are your top 4 on this team, and it's just that is clear. This team will keep 5 or 6 receivers, and now you're looking at Cedric Tillman. You're looking at what is it? Is it Tylan Wallace? Tylan Wallace?
Taylor or Tylan Wallace? Yeah, Wallace.
And you're looking at Malachi Corley.
He's out.
And there is going to be probably one of them making the team. If they keep 6, 2 of those guys make the team. So between Tillman, Wallace, Corley, and Floria, that's where it becomes tough. Because if you see this guy as the developmental, you're probably going to go with somebody more physical and say, we can have him and who can help in more areas. But if you think he's more ready to play, he's shown some playmaking ability. If you think we need a guy that can go out there right now and make a play on Sunday, it just makes it really tough where it's like those 4 guys and then 2 spots max. Ooh, it's a tough room. Last year, if he played like he's playing now, he was a lock to probably not only make this room, but play. Now it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough. I'm rooting for it, but like it is tough.
All Luke's snaps have come from the slot. So you have to think he's going to be a backup slot guy. So you have to figure with Todd Monken moving people around, he does have value, right? He now it would be even better if he had some punt return and kick return exposure, because that just increases the value of what he can do on the field. But I personally think if I think a team, I don't know, a team like I think instantly St. Louis, because he can make McVay makes anybody even better. Like they see him available, they're going to snatch that guy up. I think
love that you still have the Rams in St. Louis. Like I still have the Chargers in San Diego.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Well, it's St. Louis, yeah, Los Angeles Rams. I think he would be good with a coach like that who can put him in place and spots to be successful. And he's not needed to be the focal guy. I think he's made enough plays where he's being looked at as opposed to last year. So I would be afraid to even think that he may make the practice squad.
I am excited to see this wide receiver room in general. With him on it would be even better, in my opinion. So that's something else I am looking forward to heavily this year. You just have to have a quarterback that can throw to him correctly, right? That's all it takes.
That's all it's going to come down to. Hey,
one quarterback away.
Going to get out there. If Sanders is going to get out there, they have crazy chemistry. It seems like a lot of the catches I see, the preseason touchdown everybody caught, like that's a couple plays out of thousands this year. When you see a lot of those practice clips, it's Sanders that's finding him open, and they just have a really good chemistry. But again, he makes plays constantly. You just wonder if he's not going to be out because, the bottom of the roster guys are special teamers, and I don't know what he would be doing. Are you going to send him down on like the kickoff team to try to make a tackle at his size? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be hard. I agree.
Tough spot for him, but it's hard not to root for. Like, I want him to make the team. And again, if he gets cut, I hope you can slip him to the practice squad because I want him around. But he's made enough plays that somebody might have noticed.
Yeah. Well, we're going to end the show there, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for listening on WOBL Radio. We will be live again this Saturday from 9 to 10. Mike and I was going to call him Chad. Oh, my God, he's going to beat me up. Mike and Gary will be in the studio talking to Browns, talking about the Thursday game. I don't know what you guys are going to talk about on Thursday game. I mean, it's just maybe Taylor Green and how good he looked because he's probably going to look great.
The new QB1.
Would you guys even, before we kick off, would you guys even play Taylor Green? Like, I would just not even play Taylor Green. I'd play Dylan for the entire game, and I would never let anyone see Taylor Green so that I have full ability to move him to the practice squad if I need it.
We'll bring that up Saturday.
As a fan, I want to see Taylor Green.
Yes.
Well, I do as a coach. I don't want anyone else to see him.
Yeah. Well,
I
with
don't.
that being said, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in. Until next time, like always, go Browns.
Go Browns.